Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on back. In this one today, we're going to be doing a zombies map tier list. Now, if you kept up with the channel, you might have noticed that I already did this video. In fact, it was the first one I ever uploaded to this channel. This video will mark the 100th video that I posted to this channel, and around the same time, I've also hit 1,000 subscribers, so I thought I'd revisit this video and make some adjustments to the list, while also honoring those achievements. Thank you guys for all the support as always, and with all that out of the way with, let's get into the video. So for this list, we are only going to be doing the Treyarch Zombies maps, as you can see down below for the non-Treyarch games, those being World War II, Infinite Warfare, and Advanced Warfare. I'm going to be selecting my personal favorite from each of those games and putting them on this list. I could rank every non-Treyarch Zombies map, but to be honest, I don't really care. So moving into our first map, we have the Final Reich from World War II. Now with this map, it's really good, especially compared to most World War II zombie maps. I'm going to be putting it into the good tier. This is personally my favorite when it comes to World War II, so it's going to be the only one that we rank on that game. And the sole reason as to why I love the Final Reich so much is because of the multiple Easter eggs. You have an easy Easter egg that's pretty easy to do, and then a hardcore Easter egg, which is for the hardcore players. I love that dynamic a lot. I wish Treyarch would implement that more into their games, into their maps. So definitely really good when it comes to that aspect. Overall though, everything else about this map is kind of just meh. I mean, World War II didn't really blow me too much away when it came to gameplay mechanics and whatnot. So we're just going to keep it into the B tier. Moving up next on our list, we have Descent from Advanced Warfare. Now, as my favorite map on Exo Zombies, it doesn't impress me all too much. I'm just going to keep it into the average tier. For me personally, the only things that I do really remember and love about this map was the Wonder Weapon and then the Easter egg. Other than that, this map is kind of forgettable, like most of Exo Zombies, but overall, it's not horrible, just personally not my favorite. And coming up next, we have my favorite from IW, and actually a really good non-Treyarch Zombies map, Zombies in Spaceland. Now with this map, I'm actually going to be putting it into the S tier. I love the space pistols, the Easter egg is really fun, I love the boss fight as well, it's really challenging and fair to some extent, I guess, but it is pretty bad when it comes to the atmosphere and the characters. I don't really like the characters all too much. Overall, with Zombies in Spaceland, it's the best non-Treyarch Zombies map that we've ever gotten and definitely deserving of the S tier. Now, moving into our normal Treyarch Zombies maps, we're going to be going in order for these ones, starting off with Nacht der Untoten. Now, with this map, I'm going to be putting it into the D tier. I can't put Nacht really high up on the list, but I can't put it that low either because it is the first Zombies map ever. The only thing that I do really hate about this map is the fact that the zombies move incredibly slow. It can take forever to get past the first 5 rounds, and it's really annoying starting off every single match on this game, but once you get past those few couple of rounds, then it's not too bad of a survival map, so I'm just going to be putting it into lackluster. Now, moving up next, we have Verrückt. Now, with Verrückt, this is personally my favorite survival zombies map of all time. I'm going to be putting it into the A tier. Now, I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this one, but with Verrückt, I love the fast zombie spawns. It's really fun because you can load into the map and the zombies are at the window almost instantly. You can get them all killed almost instantly and then go straight to the power and then just have a fun time overall. The only thing that I don't really like about this map is the fact that there's no Pack-a-Punch or new Wonder Weapon, and in the Black Ops 1 version of Verrückt, they added in the Winter's Howl, which just doesn't help at all whatsoever. So for that, I'm gonna be putting it into the great tier. I can't put it into S because it is just a normal survival zombies map, but out of all of them, it is one of my favorites and definitely deserving of the A tier. Now, moving up next, we have Shi No Numa. Now with Shi No Numa, I'm going to be honest, I don't really like this map at all whatsoever. I'm going to be putting it into the E tier. Now, for me personally, when it comes to Shinonuma, I know a lot of people like playing this map to go to around 1,000 almost instantly, but when it comes to normal zombies gameplay, the mud is super annoying. I don't like the random perk drop areas. It's really, really bad when it comes to just training in general. I don't really like this map at all whatsoever when it comes to just normal zombies gameplay. Now, including glitches, this could arguably be up here in average or good because you can skip the rounds really quickly, and there's so many little bugs on Shinonuma as well that I do really like. But overall, when it comes to the normal zombies experience, it's just not for me. So for that, we're going to be keeping it into the bad tier. Now, moving up next, we have Der Riese. Now with Der Riese, I think it would be criminal if I didn't put this into the S tier. This was the first map ever to introduce the Pack-a-Punch machine, which that fact alone instantly puts it into the S tier in my opinion. But not only is having the Pack-a-Punch a really good aspect about this map, the map itself is also just really classic and laid out really well. You have the 3 different teleporters that you can go to, you have the catwalk, you have a really good training spot right outside of the power, really good when it comes to map layout. Introducing the Pack-a-Punch was also a very, very fine touch to this map as well. Definitely one of the best when it comes to survival maps, and definitely deserving of the S tier. Now, coming up next on our list, we have Keener der Toten from Black Ops 1. Now, this map is really, really overrated in a lot of aspects. I know a lot of people would probably put it up here in good or great. For me personally, I'm going to drop it in average. I don't like Kino all that much. There's nothing new that this map did. It did introduce the Thunder Gun, but that was supposed to come out on 5, not Keener der Toten, so I don't really give it too much credit for that. I also hate the Nova Crawlers on this map as well. Completely ruins the best training spot in zombies in my opinion, which is the stage. Overall, when it comes to Keener der Toten, it's pretty much just a copy and paste of Der Riese, but a lot worse in my opinion. So for that, we're going to be keeping it into the average tier. Now, coming up next, we have 5. Now, this map has some redeeming qualities, but overall, it's very lackluster. I'm not going to put it into bad or painful. I don't think it's that bad of a map, but it's not that good either. I know a lot of people like to defend 5, and I do understand why. I think the Pentagon Thief is really cool. I love the cast of characters on this map. You play as the US president, which is the first time and probably the last time ever that we're going to have that. So overall, I do really like this map when it comes to those aspects. But in terms of map layout and just having a good time playing zombies, 5 is way too chaotic. There's a ton of teleporters on the bottom floor that completely make that floor unplayable because they all bring you to random locations around the map, which isn't too helpful at all. When it comes to the Wonder Weapon is really weak. The Winter's Howl is by far one of the worst when it comes to Black Ops 1 and zombies in general. I don't really like the Pentagon Thief all too much most of the time. Yes, he can be very beneficial because he does give you a bonfire cell, but if you're not fully prepared to take the guy on, he can be incredibly annoying. So for that, I'm going to have to put 5 into lackluster. Coming up next, we got Ascension. Now, I'm going to put this map into the average tier. There's a lot of things on Ascension that I do like more than Kino, but there are some things on Kino that I like more than Ascension. When it comes to this map, there's a lot of things that are really good, like the map layout, I think is one of the best compared to most Black Ops 1 maps. But when it comes to the mini bosses, I think Keener der Toten has a little bit of an edge over Ascension. When it comes to Ascension, you have all the monkeys, which are by far one of the worst mini bosses ever introduced into zombies. They take your perks away, which can be really annoying. It kind of limits you to have like 1 to 2 perks if you're on a solo game. So for that, I'm gonna have to keep this map into average. Coming up next, we got Call of the Dead. Now, with Call of the Dead, I've played this map a lot more and I've actually liked it. I'm going to put it into A tier. Now, originally, I probably would have put Call of the Dead in good or average because I didn't really like it all too much. But playing this map over again, I've learned to love it a little bit more. Now, when it comes to Call of the Dead, there are still some things that I hate, like the fog constantly rolling in from time to time. And there still are some issues with George Romero. but as a normal zombies map, I think Call of the Dead is actually really fun. I do love how you can buy PhD and then jump off at the top of the lighthouse. That's really fun to do. I do also love the countless training spots on this map, and just the map layout in general I think is really positive and really well done. When it comes to this map overall, I do like it a lot more than I did back in the day, but there still are a few things that I don't like about this map, so we're gonna have to keep it into the A tier. Now, moving up next on our list, we got Shangri-La. Now, with this map, I'm going to put it into the B tier. This is another one that's grown on me a lot. The only thing I don't really like too much about this map is the layout overall. I don't like all the little traps that are scattered all over the place. It kind of makes it really, really annoying to navigate this map, not only for casual players, but for hardcore players as well. The only other thing that I don't like about this map is how co-op orientated it is. I don't really like the fact that you have to have good team communication in order to turn on something as simple as the Pack-a-Punch. But when it comes to good things about this map, there are a lot. I do love the Wonder Weapon. I love the monkeys a lot. They're really fun, a lot better than the ones on Ascension. When it comes to just how the map looks and feels overall, it's phenomenal. It's by far one of the most beautiful maps that we've ever gone in Zombies. So for that, I'm gonna be putting Shangri-La into the good tier. Now, moving up next on our list, we got Moon. Now, with Moon, I've always been very, very indecisive about this map. When it comes to Black Ops 1 Moon, for me, it's average. There's a lot of things that are horrible about this map, but there are a lot of things that I do love and appreciate as well. When it comes to the Easter egg, it's not fun to speedrun, but just going through and having a fun time with this Easter egg can be really enjoyable. You have all these different cutscenes throughout the Easter egg that just look phenomenal. The Wonder Weapon is also really fun to use. In my opinion, the Wave Gun is one of the best Wonder Weapons in Zombies. Now, when it comes to negative things that I don't really like about this map, the first one is the zero gravity. I think it's really annoying to constantly go back to spawn with the hacker device to try and turn off the excavator so that you can actually just walk normally and you don't have these zombies flying at you. I hate the astronaut man on this map. He takes away your perks, which is really, really annoying. When it comes to the Easter egg, yes, it's fun to do if you're just playing it normally, but like I said before, if you're trying to speedrun this Easter egg, it can be really, really annoying. So overall, when it comes to Moon, a lot of things that I love, but also a lot of things that I hate. So for that, we're going to keep it into the average tier. Now, coming up next, we got Black Ops 2's Transit. Now, this one is going to be our first painful tier. My opinions about this map have not changed whatsoever. When it comes to the Easter eggs, they're both really annoying and not fun to do. When it comes to the Wonder Weapon, it's both really annoying to build and not fun to use. When it comes to the mini bosses, they're both really annoying and not fun to go against. Overall, when it comes to this map, it can be summed up as not fun and really annoying. So overall, when it comes to Transit, definitely one of the worst that Treyarch has ever made and definitely deserving of the F tier. Now, next up, we have all the survival maps from Black Ops 2, those being Nuketown Zombies, Bus Depot, Farm, and Town. Now, for these ones, I'm not going to spend too much time talking about each of them. They're pretty simple for the most part. When it comes to these ones, I'm just going to rank them really quickly. With Bus Depot, I'm going to put it into the painful tier. There's no perks, there's no Wonder Weapons, there's no Pack-a-Punch, nothing really special about this whatsoever. It's pretty much Nocturne Totem, but worse. When it comes to Farm, I'm going to put that into the bad tier. It does have perks, which does make it slightly better than Bus Depot, but it still looks horrible, and there's not many good training spots that you have on this map either. And when it comes to Town, this one I actually do really like a lot. Not as much as some of the other maps up here, but I'm actually going to put it into the good tier. It's pretty much Der Riese, but you don't have to do any special steps to get to the Pack-a-Punch. And then we have Nuketown Zombies. With Nuketown Zombies, I do like this one a lot too. When it comes to this map, I'm going to put it on par with Town in the good tier. With Nuketown Zombies, I do really like the perk system. I know not a lot of people like it that much, but for me, I always used to play this map a ton back in the day because it acts like a boot camp zombies experience for newer players. If you've never played zombies in your life, Nuketown Zombies could actually be really beneficial because you have to go multiple rounds without having any jug, and there's some pretty difficult training spots on this map as well. Overall, Farm and Bus Depot, really bad. When it comes to Town and Nuketown, I love those ones a lot. I know some people might disagree with Nuketown Zombies, but overall, they're personally some of my favorites. Now, moving up next on our list, we got Die Rise. And with Die Rise, I'm going to put it into the bad tier. There's a lot of things that I don't really like about this map, like the new perk. I don't really like the Easter egg. It doesn't really add much to the story whatsoever, and it can be completed really quickly. When it comes to the mini bosses, they're pretty much just Nova Crawlers copy and pasted, but now they can jump on walls. I do like how they can give you a new perk, but overall, they're not that innovative. When it comes to things that I do like about this map, however, I do think the Sliquifier is the biggest redeeming factor and the only reason I'm not going to put it into the painful tier. When it comes to the Sliquifier, it is by far one of the best wonder weapons that we have ever seen in zombies. Overall though, when it comes to the map just by itself, I think the concept of having a lot more verticality in zombies was a good idea, but Die Rise failed to deliver on that good concept. So for that, I'm gonna have to leave it into the bad tier. Now, moving up next on our list, we have Mob of the Dead. Now, I know a lot of people aren't going to like me for this one, but for me personally, I don't like Mob of the Dead that much. I'm going to put it into the great tier. I know a lot of people would expect this map to be into the S tier because a lot of people really like to put this map into like the top 3. For me personally, I still think it's a great map, but it's definitely not one of the best in my opinion. I just don't think it does enough to put it up there with some of the greatest maps of all time. Yes, I'd rather play Zombies in Spaceland, and Der Riese was so much more innovative when it came to the Pack-a-Punch, when it came to just how zombies worked in general. I think Der Riese did a lot better than Mob of the Dead. Some things I do like about this map though is the solo gameplay with the Afterlife system. It's really fun to play on Mob of the Dead because of that. But when it comes to the Easter egg and the wonder weapon, they aren't that innovative or fun to use in a lot of ways. Yes, the Acid Gat is fun to use sometimes, but it's not that effective. It's going to stop killing zombies after round 30, which isn't that good for a wonder weapon. When it comes to the Easter egg, yes, it's fun to actually listen through the story towards the end, but the steps themselves aren't really that fun. So overall, I do love Mob of the Dead, and I still think it's a great map, but for me personally, it's not an S tier like everyone else says. Now, moving up next on our list, we got Buried. And Buried is another great map in my opinion. When this map first came out, I actually didn't have that much faith into it because we had two horrible Victus storyline maps, those being Transit and Die Rise. With the release of Mob of the Dead, all I wanted at that point was more of Jason Blundell's work, so I didn't really give Buried a try. I eventually bought the DLC pack, but it was mainly to get the Raygun Mark II to play on other maps. When it came to the actual map itself, I didn't try it until much later after Origins released, and after I did, I regretted fully not playing this map. It's really fun. I love the wonder weapon. I love the new perk. Vulture's Aid is always a perk that doesn't get as much representation as it needs. So when it comes to the new perk, when it comes to the wonder weapon, they're very underrated in my opinion. Yes, they did nerf the paralyzer a bit, but it still is a really strong and well-made wonder weapon. Overall, when it comes to the map layout, it could be better in some areas. It's kind of hard to memorize exactly where you are on this map, especially when you're trying to unlock Pack-a-Punch. Overall, when it comes to Buried, it's a really fun map, definitely underrated for the time. After I played it a little bit more after the launch of Origins and Black Ops 3, I enjoyed this map a ton, so for that, it's definitely deserving of our A tier. Now, moving up next on our list, we got Origins. Now, Origins is definitely an S tier map. When it comes to this map, the main reason I'm putting it into the S tier is because of the Easter egg. This map has one of the best Easter eggs of all time that people to this day are still speedrunning. When it comes to the map overall, there are a few things that I do hate, like the mud. I don't think it works well with the map layout. It's a really big map, and to have mud in between areas, it kind of ruins the flow a bit. When it comes to the gramophone as well, to try to get into the crazy place, I don't like that feature either, but other than that, everything about this map is almost perfect. You have phenomenal wonder weapons, you have a perfect mini boss, that being the Panzer. It's really hard if you aren't prepared, but if you do have a staff like the Ice Staff, Lightning, or Wind before that round comes, then you're set. When it comes to this map overall, it's really rewarding if you know what you're doing, but without that knowledge, it can be a little bit difficult. So when it comes to S tier maps, it's definitely one of the best, but personally not my favorite. Coming up next on our list, we have Shadows of Evil. Now, this map was revolutionary for zombies during the time and definitely deserving of the S tier. When it comes to Shadows of Evil, it's a really great map. You have a phenomenal wonder weapon, that being the Apothecon Servant. You also have one of the best mini bosses that we have ever seen in zombies, that being the Margwa, as well as a phenomenal Easter egg that introduced the first boss fight that we have seen in Treyarch Zombies. So overall, when it comes to this map, it is definitely one of, if not the best. Now, moving up next on our list, we got Der Eisendrache. And Der Eisendrache is once again a phenomenal map deserving of the S tier. It took the formula from Shadows of Evil, Origins, and Mob of the Dead and kind of combined it into just one giant package for every single player. If you're a casual player, you're gonna love this map. If you're a hardcore player, you're gonna love this map. Der Eisendrache has an incredible boss fight. It has the 4 wonder weapon system taken from Origins, but done better in my opinion for the casual players. Overall, when it comes to this map, it is definitely one of my favorites. There's still one map on this list that I do love a little bit more, but when it comes to Der Eisendrache, it doesn't matter what type of player you are, there's something to enjoy with this masterpiece. Coming up next on our list, we have Zetsubou no Shima. Now, a lot of people hate this map because it's next to some of the greats that Zombies has to offer, but just because it's not as good as some of the best maps of all time, doesn't mean it's a bad map. I'm gonna put it into the good tier. Overall, when it comes to Zetsubou no Shima, it's an alright map all around, with some interesting aspects here and there. When it comes to the plant system, I know a lot of people don't really like it all too much. For me personally, I liked it a lot. I find it to be similar to the Origins dig sites, but with a little bit extra steps and some better rewards. When it comes to the Easter egg, it's very simple yet super rewarding. Same with the wonder weapon as well. It's similar to the Sliquifier, but it does a lot of stuff better. It's more controllable, and it's very good when it comes to unique effects, like making you run around the map a little bit faster. Overall, when it comes to Zetsubou no Shima, it is definitely one of my favorites when it comes to zombies in general, but for Black Ops 3, it just wasn't that great. Now, coming up next on our list, we got Gorod Krovi. And Gorod Krovi, in my opinion, is another S tier zombies map. Now, when it comes to Gorod Krovi, it's my least favorite out of the S tiers. I do have to say that because of one step on the Easter egg where you have to go around the map, shooting all these valves, trying to get a code cylinder out of one of them. That step I don't really like all too much, but the rest of this map is actually phenomenal. When it comes to the boss fight, it's not the most complex. All you do is shoot some yellow lights and then you shoot the dragon whenever Nikolai stuns him, but it is definitely one of the most appeasing boss fights to look at. When it comes to the mini boss zombies, some of them I don't like the Valkyrie drones and the electric zombies. Those ones are a little bit annoying, but you have one of the most iconic mini boss zombies on this map, that being the Mangler, which was a good mini boss zombie for the time. When it comes to the wonder weapon as well, a phenomenal wonder weapon. Up until round 50, it is one of the best of all time. After round 50, it still is somewhat useful, which is pretty cool because after round 50, you have to completely change how you use it, and I would love to see that implemented more into wonder weapons by Treyarch. Overall, when it comes to Gorod Krovi, it is a phenomenal map with a few errors here and there. It is still an S tier map in my opinion, just not one of the best like people say. Now, moving into our next map, we got Revelations. I'm gonna put this map into the A tier. Overall, when it comes to Revelations, it does a lot of things phenomenally well. You have great wonder weapons like the Thunder Gun and the Apothicon Servant. You have a really fun Easter egg that takes aspects from other maps and turns it into a more story-driven Easter egg, unlike anything that we have seen in Zombies. I really like Revelations for that aspect. Yes, some of the steps like shooting the rocks is a little bit annoying, but overall it's not too bad. When it comes to the map layout, it takes a lot of different aspects from other maps like Der Risendrache and Keener der Toten, implementing the Pyramid Room and the Keener der Toten stage. But there's one thing in common with all of those great aspects that I just listed off. When it comes to these aspects, they're all borrowed from other maps. With the wonder weapons, they're borrowed from other maps. The Thunder Gun is from Kino, the Apothicon Servant is from Shadows of Evil. When it comes to the map layout, it's literally different maps combined into one. Overall, when it comes to Revelations, I still think it's a great map. It plays really well, but it doesn't do enough to bring it into the S tier. So for that, we're gonna have to keep it into the A tier. Now, moving into our next game and our next map, we have Voyage of Despair from Black Ops 4. Now, I know a lot of people would expect me to put Voyage of Despair in bad or painful. For me personally, I actually think it's an average map. I know a lot of people like to hate on Voyage of Despair because it could have been so much more, and it was the most overhyped map in Black Ops 4. But if you ignore all the outside opinion and you just look at the map for what it is, Voyage of Despair is actually a really solid map. If you look at the Easter egg, yes, there are some challenging steps that aren't too fair, but overall the Easter egg steps aren't too bad. When it comes to the boss fight, it is one of the best that we have ever seen in Zombies. When it comes to the wonder weapons, they aren't the worst that we've ever seen, but they aren't the best either. Overall, when it comes to Voyage of Despair, there's a lot of things that get overshadowed, mainly because people just hate the map. But if you just look at the map for what it is, it's actually really solid and somewhat average, I would say. Not the best, but not the worst. And moving up next on our list, we got Blood of the Dead. Now, with this map, it's another super underrated map in my opinion. I'm gonna put it into the good tier. Now, before I probably would have dropped this map into the great or even the S tier, but I'm gonna be putting this map into the good tier. Blood of the Dead is a really hard map. If you're just playing this map to get into Zombies, it can be really hard to enjoy Zombies as a whole. If you are a casual player, there's not much that you can do to get into the Zombies experience just through Blood of the Dead, because you have to go through the catwalk if you just want to experience what Zombies is. And even if you have the mediocre amount of Zombies experience and you just want to experience Easter eggs for the first time, Blood of the Dead is definitely not the map. But if you are a super true hardcore player, Blood of the Dead can actually be really enjoyable for the most part. Now, is it the most perfect and is it fair a lot of the times? No, but that doesn't mean it's bad all the time. When it comes to doing the Easter egg, I do love a lot of the steps. I love the cutscenes a lot. When it comes to the story, it's one of the best maps ever. Not only that, but the new iteration of the Blundergat, that being the Magmagat, is also one of my favorite wonder weapons of all time. Just because there's some bad reputation for a game, it doesn't mean that all the maps on this game are bad. I think Black Ops 4 got hit the most with that ideology, and it definitely affected Blood of the Dead and Voyage of Despair. If you just look at these maps by themselves for what they offer, they're actually not as bad as people say. So for that, I'm going to be putting Blood of the Dead at the good tier. Now, coming up next on our list, we got Classified. Now, this was the only map that I wanted to do a remaster for. I didn't want to do the Giant or any of the remasters from Black Ops 1 because there wasn't really too much that changed within those maps. It's pretty much the same map layout, but with some different weapons or a new twist like Gobblegums in Black Ops 3. But when it comes to Classified, it's a whole new experience that I love more than 5. I'm gonna put it into the average tier. Overall, when it comes to this map, I think it's one of the best that Black Ops 4 had to offer during the launch of the game, which is a lot to say because it by far had the least amount of content. They removed the Pentagon Thief, which was a bit controversial during the time. Looking back at it now, I think it was the right move, especially because Black Ops 4 by itself was already a super hard game. They also made all the teleporters on the bottom floor a lot more reliable because now you can actually see where you're going to teleport. It's not fully random like how it was in Black Ops 1. I actually think that was a really good change. They also added in some new areas to give access to a shield, as well as a Pack-a-Punch portal so that you can access the No Man's Land from Black Ops 1 Moon. A lot of cool things, both for the story and the gameplay, that made sense and just worked really well. So for that, I'm going to be putting Classified into our average tier. Now, moving to our last map that released on the launch of Black Ops 4, we have 9. Now, this map is by no means an S tier map like most people say. For me personally, it's just an A tier. There are a lot of things that I do like about 9. I love the map layout. In my opinion, it is one of the best that we have ever seen in zombies. You have the perk statues acting as their own locations, which is really, really good. And then the arena itself is one of the best training spots that we have ever had in zombies as well. But I don't like the countless amounts of different mini boss types on this map. It's just way too many. When it comes to the mini bosses on this map, a lot of them are really forgettable, like the Tigers, Brawlers, and Catalyst. But when it comes to the overall experience on 9, it's definitely really solid and deserving of the A tier. Now, coming up next on our list, we got Dead of the Night. This was definitely one of the most disappointing DLC 1 maps, but not for the reasons that you think. I'm gonna put it into the C tier. The launch of this map was one of the worst map launches that we have ever experienced in Call of Duty Zombies. There was no trailer or warning from Treyarch that this map was coming out. I didn't even know it came out until literally 2 days later when I logged into the game. Overall, when it comes to the map itself, it's not that bad, but I can't put it any higher because it doesn't blow me away when it comes to most of the features, and because of that super bad launch. So for that, I'm gonna have to keep it into the average tier. Now, moving into our next map, we have personally my favorite of all time, Ancient Evil. I'm gonna put this map into the S tier. I love this map a lot. I've said it time and time again, and I still stand by most of my points when it comes to this map, that it is by far one of the best that Treyarch has ever made. Yes, it is a Chaos Zombies map, but I don't really care about the story too much when I'm playing through zombies. It's just the gameplay experience that I'm mainly focusing on, and Ancient Evil definitely delivers. It takes phenomenal Easter egg steps from other maps like the Sharpshooter step on Buried, and somehow makes it better by implementing the wonder weapons. When it comes to actually doing this Easter egg, you're not just building the wonder weapons because it's one of the steps, you're building the wonder weapons because it's implemented into the map and into the Easter eggs really well. When it comes to the wonder weapons themselves, the gauntlets are by far some of the best that we have seen from the elemental weapon list. When it comes to the Gauntlet of Charon, it is definitely one of the best elemental weapons that we have ever seen in zombies, period. When it comes to the mini bosses, I love the Giganese. I think it's a phenomenal mini boss. It rewards you a lot by giving you a part to the shield. This was also the first time ever that we saw the trial system implemented into zombies, which would later be implemented into every Cold War Zombies map and be a huge staple for Cold War Zombies. Overall, when it comes to Ancient Evil, there's a lot of reasons as to why people like this map, but for me personally, there's just something about Ancient Evil that makes it personally my favorite map of all time. Now, coming up next on our list, we got Alpha Omega. And Alpha Omega is a bad map in my opinion. I don't really like this map at all whatsoever. It did nothing new. At this point in time, I don't think Treyarch was trying to do anything innovative whatsoever. Instead, I think they're trying to save whatever community was left from Black Ops 4. Overall, when it comes to Alpha Omega, there was nothing innovative or anything at all that stood out about this map. They literally copy and pasted the Gurad Krovi formula when it came to Easter eggs, but they did it a lot worse because they made codes behind every single step. They also just copy and pasted the Raygun Mark II and made horrible variants for each. Overall, when it comes to Alpha Omega, it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I don't like the way that this map looks, nor do I like any of the mechanics. So for that, we're going to be leaving it into the bad tier. Now, coming up next on our list, we got Tag der Toten. Now, Tag der Toten, as a finale for zombies, I don't think it was that good, but as a normal map, I actually think it was alright. I'm going to put it into the good tier. Overall, when it comes to Tag der Toten, a lot of people like to hate on this map because it was the finale for the normal Aether Zombie storyline, which if you look at it through that lens, I can totally understand why you don't like Tag der Toten, but if you look at it as just another zombies map, it's really, really good. I think the map looks beautiful, it takes a great map layout, and somehow finds a way to make it better in a lot of areas. I like the new area that they added on top of the lighthouse where you have to take a zip line over to the top of the mountain. I think that was really cool. I like that new area a lot as well. They also added in some new wonder weapons on this map, which I'm gonna be honest, aren't really that good. When it comes to the wonder weapons on Tog, they're by far some of the worst that we have seen in zombies and definitely the worst that we've seen in Black Ops 4. But the wonder weapons on Call of the Dead were already really bad to begin with, so I guess I can't complain that much. Overall, when it comes to this map, it copy and pastes the formula from Call of the Dead and makes it a little bit worse, not because they ruined the formula, but because they failed to represent it. So for that, I'm gonna have to keep it into the good tier. Coming into our next map and our next game, we have Black Ops Cold War's Die Maschine. Now with this map, I'm gonna put it into the B tier. This is a really good on-disc map because it combines old aspects from zombies like Nocturne Toten and mixes them in with some newer aspects that have never been seen before. Die Maschine is a really good map for newer players, and although it's not my favorite when it comes to just maps in general, it's by far one of the best maps that you can start on for Call of Duty Zombies because it has a really easy Easter egg. The wonder weapon isn't the best, but with the infinite ammo that you can obtain by using the left trigger, it can help you out a lot, and the Megaton provides a good challenge, not to the point where it's impossible, but just enough to where newer players can get into the challenging aspects in zombies. Overall, a really solid map and deserving of the B tier. Now, moving into our next map, we have Firebase Z. And Firebase Z, in my opinion, is a lackluster map. When it comes to Firebase Z, it was a huge step down from Die Maschine because the map layout was no longer based around anything iconic. It just felt like a random Vietnam base, which was cool in some ways because it made the map look good, but in terms of gameplay, Firebase Z fell flat on its face. It had a mediocre mini-boss, that being the Mimic, which wasn't the worst that we've seen in zombies, but it came nowhere near the best. It also has the Ray K, which before the nerf was really good, but after it just feels mediocre. Overall, when it comes to this map, nothing about it is good, but there isn't anything that I hate. So for that, I'm gonna keep it in lackluster. Coming into our next map that isn't really a map, but it got a lot of attraction during the Black Ops Cold War season cycle, we have Outbreak. Now, Outbreak, in my opinion, is a really good game mode, but when it comes to the potential that this game mode has, I feel like it's very underrepresented in Cold War Zombies. When it comes to Outbreak, it could be a really, really good game mode if Treyarch put in a few extra things, like making the map a little bit smaller, adding in some more things to do instead of just some random objectives, like maybe fighting off some other teammates and whatnot. But overall, when it comes to Outbreak, it's a game mode that I do think has a lot of potential at being better than normal round-based zombies, but as it stands right now, it's not even close to some of the best maps of all time, so we're gonna keep it into the good tier. Now, moving up next on our list, we have Mauer der Toten. Now, Mauer der Toten, in my opinion, is the best out of Cold War zombies and deserving of the great tier. When it comes to Mauer der Toten, there's a lot of things that I do like about this map. I love the map layout, but most of all, my favorite thing about this map is the wonder weapon, the Cerberus. The Cerberus is by far one of the best wonder weapons that we have ever seen in zombies, and up until this point, we haven't had that many good wonder weapons. I guess you could say that the ray gun from Cold War Zombies was really good, but that was taken from every other zombies game. Up until now, we didn't really have a new wonder weapon that felt amazing to use, and the Cerberus played that role perfectly. The Easter egg on this map was really good as well. The Easter egg steps themselves weren't too long and they're very easy to do. When it came to the boss fight, it was very challenging, but if you were focused the whole time, it was very easy. It almost felt like the Eye of Odin boss fight all over again, which I do appreciate a lot. Overall, when it comes to this map, the wonder weapon is what mainly saves it, but there's a lot of aspects that I do love about it as well that, in my opinion, make it a great map. Now, moving into our last map, we have Forsaken. And Forsaken, in my opinion, is a good map. This map is very similar to Mauer der Toten in the sense that I don't really find anything about the map itself to blow me away, but the wonder weapon is phenomenal. I love the Crystal Axe, it looks amazing, and I love the two different variants that you have. It really makes the weapon feel unique. Overall, when it comes to the Easter egg, it's very similar to Mauer der Toten, where the steps are very simple, yet the boss fight is actually pretty challenging. When it comes to the actual map layout, that's the only reason I'm putting it a tier below Mauer der Toten, because the map layout on Forsaken, in all honesty, isn't that good. But other than that, it still is a pretty decent map. A lot of people like to hate on it solely because of the map layout, but if you look at all the other aspects, it's actually some of the best content that Cold War has to offer and deserving of the good tier. Anyways, guys, it's going to wrap up the list for today. As you can see, I moved up the maps a bit so that they're going from best to worst, left to right. So for my top 5 best, at number 1 we have Ancient Evil, followed by Der Riesendrak, Shadows of Evil, Origins, and Gorod Krovi. For my bottom 5, I have Bus Depot, Transit, Alpha Omega, Die Rise, and Farm. My opinion has changed a little bit when it comes to certain maps like Nuketown, Forsaken, Revelations, Call of the Dead, but overall, when it comes to my top 5 favorites and my top 5 least favorites, they're pretty much the same from the video that I made about 7 months ago. If you guys did enjoy, leave a like, subscribe, do all that. Leave your comments down below if you want to see me do any other type of content. Check down the description as well for more zombie related videos. And yeah, I got nothing much else to say, so peace.